Do you think he could be the face of the league?
I don't think so because I think we're kind of talking about the post LeBron thing. I honestly feel that player's probably not in the league yet. My belief on things is that there is, and it happened when Jordan left. There's this push to replace this enormous person, and you can't. Nobody else is that. And so you're going to cycle through a couple guys, whatever, a batch of guys, thinking that they're the face, and they're not because they're not that good, and we're that close to seeing greatness, meaning the prior guy, LeBron. It's going to just take a little bit of time. It might be a 3, 4, 5-year window post-retirement when another player rises to prominence, and they may not have to quite be as good as LeBron, but they're going to be that next thing, and it's going to feel authentic, and we're going to be far enough removed from the shadow of LeBron that we could really embrace somebody as the new guy.
So he's saying, just saying that he believes he could be the face of the NBA. And in the same interview, he's saying that he doesn't know, he doesn't know why he can't be the MVP. And basically, it's sort of the same thing that most guys do every year. Guys that are kind of on the outside looking in. Embiid did the same thing. Embiid is my guy. He did the same thing. Well, leading up, he's just putting seeds in your head. Like, hey,
yeah.
What about me? Everybody does this.
No, we live in an era of self-promotion. Yeah. If you're not going to promote yourself, who's gonna?
Yeah.
And there's a reality to, like, an MVP conversation typically circles around a couple names. And if you don't interject yourself to the extent that people are, he does this. A couple people will be a little offended by it. Some people, yeah, that's my guy. But what's really going to happen is people are going to start stacking the case. And they're going to look at his numbers and compare it to the other guys in that mix.
And say, why
and
not?
Oh, wait, hey, he ain't that far off.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Team's best team in the league or what, close to it.
And it is.
Yeah, for sure. Not a bad move.
No, it's not. It's not a bad move, especially as far as the MVP. Because he is the best player on the best team in the league, right?
Yeah.
But the face of the NBA is what I'm saying, right? Because for one thing, I don't understand why the face of the league has to be an American-born player. Because every time I'm watching something or reading something, they only list like Jayson Tatum, Ja Morant, as far as the next guys, Zion, and these guys they're just not at the tier of what these international players are at. Jokic, Giannis. Even Embiid, even though he hasn't won, but especially Jokic and Giannis, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Luka to a lesser degree because he hasn't won either. You know what I mean? But I think Luka is a more prominent player than Jayson Tatum. You can argue whether he's better or not, but he has a bigger profile. A bigger profile than Tatum. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't. I mean, I guess the simple answer to say, the league's in the United States, so there's probably some marketing thing, in New York at the league office. It's like we want to have an American-born player kind of prominent in our marketing. Mm-hmm. I get that. It makes some sense. But for me, looking at it from the Tatum perspective, and this is one of the qualities I admire about him, he's never been a guy that hides. He's a guy that he wants to be great. He tries to be great. He keeps himself out of trouble. He's a focused guy. I have a lot of respect for how he goes about being an NBA star. Now, there's a fair argument to say, hey, I just like a few players better than him, and I don't think he's in that absolute MVP tier. But for him to say it, to call it, to whatever, speak it into existence, I got no problem with it. I like the ambition. Keep playing at the level and see what happens. Make people make a decision.
Do you think he could be the face of the league?
I don't think so because I think we're kind of talking about the post LeBron thing. I honestly feel that player's probably not in the league yet. My belief on things is that there is, and it happened when Jordan left. There's this push to replace this enormous person, and you can't. Nobody else is that. And so you're going to cycle through a couple guys, whatever, a batch of guys, thinking that they're the face, and they're not because they're not that good, and we're that close to seeing greatness, meaning the prior guy, LeBron. It's going to just take a little bit of time. It might be a 3, 4, 5-year window post-retirement when another player rises to prominence, and they may not have to quite be as good as LeBron, but they're going to be that next thing, and it's going to feel authentic, and we're going to be far enough removed from the shadow of LeBron that we could really embrace somebody as the new guy.
I think
that's what I believe.
I think that feeds into the conversation of why the face of the league is always somebody that's an American-born citizen, because people want somebody that they can relate to, and that's like like the people's hooper. You know what I mean? Like the type of guy you can run into at LA Fitness or whatever. And I feel like when LeBron came out, he had that story. You know, he had the lopsided afro, single mom, poor. You know what I mean? The aesthetic that people could relate to now. And, I mean, it's going to be super hard, especially now that we got NIL deals, to get that same feel, because, like, you know, 19-year-olds, for the most part, aren't driving Lamborghinis. You know what I mean? If you've been rich since you were, like, 14, 15, it's going to be hard to look like the people's athlete, because you're not
that's
somebody
a good point.
That,
that's a good point.
That lifestyle that they live. So,
yeah,
you're I feel like you're absolutely right as far as, like, the player's probably not in the league. I mean, it probably might not even happen, man, honestly, the more I'm thinking about it. You know what I mean? Because the game is just so different now, man.
Yeah. They may need to market the league, you know, in a different way.
I think you do. I think you need to market it in a different way and be okay with that, and let this, you know, run its course. You know, let it run its course. And I mean, the reality is, you have a lot of great players in the league.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like I've always loved Giannis. You know, you got Luka, you've got Jayson Tatum, you got you know, I mean, and Wemby's a guy that's showing signs. He's got a charisma, a character to him that's impressive. He obviously needs to start to have some team success before you're there. But there's just a lot of great players in the league that take the game seriously, that give everything they have, and aspire to greatness and you know, basically get there. And so, yeah, stop trying to just like find this next guy that you're not going to find, and embrace kind of like an ensemble cast of guys that are worth following, that are, you know, dudes that are doing great things with basketball.
You know who I thought it was going to be, but it just obviously isn't. I thought Zion was going to take over that because he's an anomaly of an athlete too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has that, like, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it was for LeBron too. They have like this athletic ability that you can't teach or train. You know what I mean? It's just a natural freak level that makes people, like, you know, gravitate towards.
I think there's a weird combination. Part of it is like an elite, almost breathtaking athleticism that almost, like, you know, you realize instantly you're seeing something extraordinary.
Right.
There is also a little bit of relatability to the way the player plays the game, and I do think for pure big men, and I think this will apply to Wemby, like the relatability issue is always very tough for big players, Jokic, Embiid, Wemby, because like people can't go to the gym and pretend to be you. Like, it's just ridiculous, you know. But, you know, on lower levels, you could try to be Jordan or Steph Curry or, you know, even LeBron, maybe a little bit, with at least being an all-around team player and doing things on both ends. And your play style has to resonate and be relatable. Your athleticism has to be breathtaking, and then you got to be a guy that's commercially viable. Speak well, have a good backstory that you know. I mean, you think about it, like LeBron, like the single mom, you know, grow up in Ohio, going to the Cavs, etc. It's a crazy narrative story. What do we hear about Jordan? Cut from the varsity as a sophomore. Like, those things are parts of their legacy and their whole story. That's important. You know, and it's gonna be, you know, whatever, you know, guy that grew up in $3 million mansion and was #1 player from 8th grade on. It's just not right. That's the real thing. I think he's absolutely right on that.
YouTube dancing for the. You're already tired of him by the time you're listening.
Yeah, for real.
I'm sick of seeing this kid, man.
Yeah, that's a part of it, man.
No, that's good. That's real good. But yeah, we'll definitely see on that. NBA returns this week, tomorrow actually. So we'll see on that. Any quick notes you have from the All-Star? I know they kind of tore it down.
They did. I mean, and they rightly so. To me, the All-Star game is an embarrassment to the league. I mean, they throw this big weekend. They want everybody to pay attention to it, and then by Sunday, the game day, they embarrass themselves, and it's going on 4, 5, 6 years now.
Yeah.
And I am so tired of listening to people not wanting to get hurt. I mean, as fans, we don't give a fuck. Play ball. Like, that's what you're here to do, you know. And if you are so concerned about injury, if you're so goddamn fragile, be Jimmy Butler and never go. Seriously.
Yeah.
We don't need you. I mean, we want 20 guys to show up that want to be there. I mean, and you don't have to play 4 quarters. Like, you can't be as shitty as they were in the first quarter because you lose everybody. I mean, nobody's trying to do anything. You know, dudes are taking 35-foot threes every possession.
Yeah,
Nobody's
man.
getting back. It's a joke. It's just stupid. It looks bad. It's not entertaining. But be somewhat competitive. And then the fourth quarter, let's just go have a pickup game with the best dudes. Like the alphas step front and go play. It's not a complicated formula. But if you're league-wide that paranoid of injury, that paranoid of exerting too much energy, I mean, what the fuck?
I'm sure they play harder in practice.
They do. They play harder in a pickup game in like a private run at UCLA. That's what I mean. Multiple guys said that.
Yeah.
That it's an absolute joke. This thing. I would cancel it.
Yeah, especially if they're because even your guy Ant just came out and said, yeah, he just doesn't foresee players that even like just playing ever. Like he doesn't.
And
they
LeBron
can
comes out
go
there.
in
Yeah,
that
I don't know
scenario.
what to do.
Yeah, I don't know
Like
what to do.
you're the fucking preeminent
Like,
guy in the
you
league.
know what to do.
Set the tone.
If you play harder, everybody else will.
Exactly.
But also, even you could even put onus on the coaches, like you know, just sit Luka down, man.
Everybody.
Everybody, but there were some guys out there that just really like Luka and fucking Jokic. Those two guys, they
just
wanted
clowns.
to be anywhere but there.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like they, that shit was awful.
No,
them
it's
two.
for real.
But then, yeah, other
And
players
look at
as
who
well.
those guys are. I mean, they are like they're as big as we have in the league.
Yeah, as big as we have.
You know, and they're the guys setting the tone.
Yeah,
It's an absolute joke. It's an
It
embarrassment.
was a handful of guys that was, playing at a, whatever, okay level for what it was. KD,
Yeah.
Dame.
But I mean, you
Cat.
know, we've played pickup and
Cat
like
is just fucking. Come on, man.
Cat. I would ban him from the league just on stupidity alone.
I could be a little off on this, but I feel like this might stem from just how the league has been conducting themselves, like with the players these past few years, like crazy with the text, can't show too much emotion and shit like that. They're kind of taking the competitive edge out of the game. So I don't know. I would like to ask a player what was the turning point, because the All-Star games used to be good. They used to,
I'm gonna tell you the turn. It's a combination of what you just said, and then a combination of the league incentivizing players for everything else aside from the All-Star weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're incentivized for playing more games now in the regular season. Like they give you more money. You know what I mean? Then they implement it into your awards that you also get more money for if you win all first team NBA, second team, whatever All-Star game. So, but all of that. So what they're saying is another thing you could do is just give them more money,
Yeah.
and then have them compete in the All-Star game. And somebody even said maybe if you line up bags of money along the baseline, and the winner, you know what I mean, and the winner just
Gets the money.
gets the money,
That'll
and
be hard.
the losers have to see them
Get the
picking
money,
up
yeah.
the money.
And you know they're gonna blow that money that night.
Oh, that night, especially in a place like Vegas, where it was this year.
It was in Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
It's hard to blow that kind of money in Indianapolis.
Who was in Vegas?
Super
The Super
Bowl
Bowl was
was-
in
Yeah,
Vegas.
yeah.
Super Bowl was in Vegas.
Bummer, man.
I'm sure they got strip clubs in Indianapolis.
I don't want to see that talent. Wow. Talk about tanking.
They got some big booty white girls in Indianapolis, man.
They can keep it in Indianapolis. Don't bring that shit to Florida. They got no use for it.
Anything. I don't think I ever met any talent from there.
No.
No, not from Indianapolis. That's rough. That's where Mike Epps is from, right? Yeah, he's from Indianapolis.
Mike, that's probably
We
the
talking
baddest
about
bitch
women.
out of Indianapolis.
I know we talking about women, but All right.
Yeah, we tried to talk about women and we came up with Mike Epps.
Yeah, I know.
Tells you all you need to know.
Tells you all you
Oh wait, Janet Jackson, she from Indiana, right?
Gary, Indiana, that's right.
Oh, shit, they
okay.
might have something out there.
She's old and weird.
Hey, she showed a nipple.
You know what I'm
Good
saying?
enough, right?
A decade and a half ago.
Hey, I mean, I don't know if I'm dying to see it today. When she showed it was interesting.
She'll probably die before she shows another nipple.